Hey you guys, so this is another support group requested video, and that survivor asked me if I could touch on having nightmares about the narcissist. So this is definitely very unpleasant, and if I could be candid for a moment, when I was in the thick of healing from narcissistic abuse in the past, I experienced nightmares as well. You know, so much trauma and abuse had occurred in that relationship that subconsciously and psychologically, I definitely had a lot of fears, a lot of anxieties to work through. Okay. Now, I've made a couple of other videos on this channel that does address dreaming and dreams. So I would definitely invite you guys to watch those videos as well. But in this video, I guess we will specifically touch on the nightmare aspect. All right. The first thing that I'll say here about nightmares is we're talking about having nightmares of the narcissist, but I'll just sidebar for a moment to say that you can just have a nightmare even if you haven't had narcissistic abuse. You know, these things can happen. And let me just go on my notes here to talk about some of the things that can trigger nightmares in people, just so that you know, just for educational purposes. Antidepressants, if you're on any of those, they can trigger nightmares. Blood pressure medications, some of them can. If you have Parkinson's disease, some of those types of drugs can trigger nightmares as well. If you have restless leg syndrome or sleep apnea, that can make you more probable to having nightmares. So if you are, you know, taking these drugs and or have any of, you know, sleep apnea or the restless leg syndrome, and you've had narcissistic abuse, you know, it could just be, you know, increasing the frequency of this occurring for you. Okay. So I just wanted to just have that sidebar in there so you guys can make that connection. But in the other videos, I was definitely sure to point out, and I'll point out here again, that dreams are a lot of times stemming from a subconscious level of ourselves. And yeah, they are indicators. When it's a nightmare, it could be an indicator of some type of stress or anxiety in your waking life, some type of emotional disturbance, you guys, your insecurities, your fears, a trauma, something that is renting a lot of mental space, you know, in your subconscious, in your subconsciousness. And I have to say that because we have our conscious and we have our subconscious. And our subconscious, that aspect of us, we could have less self-awareness of that. You know, we usually have a awareness of our consciousness, and sometimes depending on our level of self-awareness, and I can relate this to an iceberg. What we see on top of the water, imagine the Titanic, and the hard ice that's underneath, that's the subconscious levels down there, and not seeing beneath that. So there could be a whole rock down there of issues and items and, you know, shadow work that needs to be worked on. I mean, what I'll say for my own testimony here is the more that I worked on whatever fears I had, whatever I wasn't healed from, my perceptions of the traumas, the fears, you know, all of those things, the more that I worked on that stuff, the less I had those nightmares, to the point where I just didn't have those nightmares anymore. I got to a spot where I had done enough healing that it was not weighing down on my subconscious, where it needed to manifest or come out or be drawn out or act out through my dreams. Okay. So one of the things that you can do if you are experiencing having nightmares about the narcissist, it means that you have some more work to do on getting healing from whatever the trigger is, whatever the fears are, whatever the anxiety is underlining in those dreams. Now, there's something else that I wanted to touch on in this video as far as nightmares or perceived nightmares, because sometimes what might seem like a bad dream is actually could represent a good change, And this is why a lot of times you hear in other videos that I say, hey, we have to have a broader perspective or understanding of what an ending is, for instance. So in a video, if you see something dying or if you witness a death, it's not always something negative. It could mean an ending or a new beginning of something. Like if you're seeing the narcissist die, and that may be unpleasant. Oh, that was a nightmare. I witnessed someone pass away, even if it is a narcissist, someone who did much to you. It could represent dying off in your life, So a lot of things in your dreams can be metaphorical, if you will, and it may not be something to take literally. But it could be a lot of symbolism, which is why I always encourage you guys to have things like dream journals where you can, I like dreammoods.com. This is something I used way back in the day that I still lean on. Or I'll even do like a general Google, oh, I dreamed about this, because, you're not the only one who, chances are, who had that dream, and you get to hear other people interpret that. So a dream dictionary is good. And also wanting to point out that it's very easy to forget a dream. So the quicker you can jot it down when you wake up, the better. And the reason why we can forget our dreams is very scientifical. And I don't want to talk all the jargon, but to just keep it really simple, you guys, there's a hormone that we produce during our REM sleep, which is our deep sleep, where we're actually regenerating our body. This is the deep sleep that we need each night to get the healthiest kind of sleep. All right. So there's a hormone that we're producing that when we're waking up, if we're not continuing to produce enough of that, it really just it makes it hard for our brain to retain. And also, when we talk about fight or flight, our brain sometimes, especially if it's something traumatic and scary, our brain will actually hide it from us. And this can actually happen in our waking life. When we go through something, it's not a dream, someone's attacking us or someone's doing something and we have an extreme amount of fear and anxiety behind it, you might find that your memory of that situation is very fragmented. So, yeah, it's happened to me. I'm just going to testify. Something happened to me before, and it was a traumatic season of my life. And for the life of me, I dated this person and everything, and I could not even tell you what their first name is today. And I remember years and years ago when I sat on someone's couch, my therapist, and someone was like, I did all this stuff with this person and I barely remember what they look like, and I can't even tell you what their name is. And the therapist was explaining how your brain can shut down and hide it for you for your own protection because it was just so traumatic for you. It actually hid it in your memory bank. It's in there somewhere. I'm good. I don't need to dig it up, honestly. But these things can happen with our actual nightmares as well, you guys. So these nightmares can be a symptom of other things as well. Like I pointed out the drugs and, diseases or ailments that can be triggering nightmares. But, if it's an ongoing, frequent thing, it can also be an indicator of some type of mental health issue. Like depression, you guys, and anxiety and PTSD, or post-traumatic stress syndrome. All right, you guys. So if you're having those things going on, of course, there's a lot on your mind, which means there's a lot on your subconscious. And there has to be some type of release for that. So I really have to reiterate with you guys about doing the work and facing things head on, because you can't run from things, not from yourself, you know. So if you have experienced anything that was traumatizing, you're going to have to face it, or else it's going to rear its ugly head somewhere in your life. Somewhere in your life, you guys. The next thing that I want to say is, for those of us who are very empathic and connected to the source, sometimes, dreams can be a vision. It can be a foreshadow as well. It can be something that's trying to give you a heads up, if you will, of be careful, or, it's anxiety of what you feel like is going to come, or a fear. Let me get this out the way. So be careful with that, just write down. That's why I really think it's great to pay attention to these dreams and write down as much as you can. If you're in the midst of having these nightmares, definitely keep track of them, and whatever symbolisms that you can think of, any colors, any animals, sceneries, or, locations, whatever you can remember going on in these dreams, start keeping account of them and get you a really good dream dictionary to help you sort that out, you guys. And I don't want you guys to misinterpret your dreams either. So that's why I said having that good dream dictionary, because a lot of times things aren't what they seem, and making sure that you're connected with the source and everything, and meditating on things. So I want to spend a moment here talking about helping you guys limit or prevent these nightmares. Now, of course, as you're doing more work, you should be having less anxiety and fears, and it should be less wanting to play out in this type of way. So keeping that dream dictionary is going to be a great way to measure that too. So along with writing down what's going on, it's a great way to keep your progress. Practicing healthy sleep hygiene, and that would mean not necessarily taking a shower, but hey, that could be a part of yours. Taking a shower relaxes me before I go to bed, but understanding that sleep deprivation as well can trigger you to have a nightmare if you're not getting proper sleep. Okay. Having a regular sleep schedule is going to be helpful. Like I said, doing the work in your waking life is going to be helpful. Getting the coaching, or going into counseling, getting that therapy, setting the stage in your bedroom or wherever you're going to be sleeping, making it a tranquil place, whatever. Usually sleeping in cooler temperatures help you sleep better. Maybe have some lavender mist going through, if you need to take some melatonin to help you, that'd be helpful too. Just making sure that your bedroom is a safe haven and comfortable and safe for you when you're sleeping. Meditating, clearing energy on a daily basis. I'm a big fan, you guys, of the sage. And oh my God, this is so tiny here. I got my little Palo Santo stick, and I even have like sage candles that I really, really, really enjoy, you guys. So I'm all about, clearing energy and all of that. The frankincense, incense, stuff, whatever you can do to clear the energy belly. Because what I also say is, if you're heavily thinking about the narcissist right before you go to bed, what do you think you're going to dream about 9 times out of 10? Even if we end up having 3 or 4 dreams in one night, one of them could be about that because you're thinking about it. It's actually a beautiful tool or trick that I use when I miss someone. I would just think about them so much before I go to bed, like almost inviting that energy into my dream. So on the other hand, you'll be inviting that energy into your sleep life if you're just putting so much energy and intentions behind it. So we want to set the intentions, try to think about positive things right before you go to sleep, or redirect your attention. And I know that might be easier said than done when you are in the thick of healing from things. Okay. We want to be careful about not watching dark things before we go to bed, nightmares and scary movies, and, things traumas that people may be encountering in the movies that you encountered in real life, may not be a good idea. Additionally, I want to mention how alcohol and caffeine and nicotine and even recreational drugs can put you in an energy of attracting or being more probable to have nightmares. There's something called cognitive behavioral therapy that can be used to help treat people who have PTSD and, having nightmares through that as well, you guys. So I wanted to mention that. Trying to see if I missed anything I wanted to mention in this video. Well, that's all that I have written down, you guys. But to summarize this, I do want to say that they are dreams. These aren't real things. Take them as signals and indications, or, type of alert of what may need your attention, or what you need to heal from, or something that you need to address in your waking life. All right. So if we were to take the dream, and I talk about this when I have coaching with people, when they're having a hard time dealing with their emotions or their logic. Okay, well, let's take that emotion and literally set it in front of you and give it some type of form, almost make it a human being, and deal with it like that. It's putting it outside of you, and then it's allowing you to break it down and address different aspects and work through it like that, rather than keeping it inside of you and having it grow inside of you and plant inside of you, because we don't want to plant these nightmares, And I'm not saying that you're just going to forget you had these nightmares, but the beautiful thing is, it's just helpful to stop them from coming. All right, to stop them from coming. We don't want to make these narcissists the big bad wolf, because a lot of times there's some perceptions that we're going to need to work through, because, it was scary, it was traumatizing, it was hurtful, it was harmful. And we tend to make this person a boogie monster instead of the cowards that they are. So those perceptions are going to really have to be worked through. All right, you guys. So I hope that this video is helping someone who's experiencing nightmares. And if you feel like it's like the same one reoccurring, that is like a huge trying to get your attention right there. All right. And for those of you, and you'll know how God communicates with you if you're the person that dreams of the fish and someone gets pregnant, or this happens and that happens. You find these connections of, oh, I had a dream about this, and then this happened. You're finding connections to where, Spirit is trying to communicate with you through your dreams as well. I also point out that the nightmare, and this is just on a higher level of thinking, it could actually be the narcissist energetically trying to communicate with you. You could be no contact from this person, and they could actually be trying to get in touch with you. And that's the only way that they can. I feel that I've experienced that myself. That it's like a telepathic type of thing, where they're trying to get in touch with you. And that's the only way that they can, since they can't get to you in a 3-day. They'll come to you. Because, our mind is not stopping. Our spirit and our souls are not just idle just because we're sleeping. I feel like it's a whole nother world that we go into once we're sleeping, because This right here, our human bodies, is really is just a vessel. It really is just a shell, you guys, and to hold our souls and our spirit. That's it. It's something that we're using on the 3D. But the real parts of us, our spirit and our soul, I believe when we're sleeping, it's free to roam into different realms, you guys, and to explore different things. And if we're not giving enough attention to things in our waking life, it's going to try to find other ways to find closure, to rectify, or to address situations. So it's better to go ahead, like I said, and just do that in person. All right, you guys. So I'm going to stop this video here. You know, dreams, they're always fascinating to me. I'm a person that dreams. Some people feel like, I don't even dream. I don't even dream. They'll say they don't dream. More than likely, they're probably just not even remembering them. More than likely. But for those of you who are able to remember, you know, it's a beautiful thing. Jot it down. Jot it down. Put the date in which you could remember. And, you know, like I said, you can use it as a measuring stick as you're doing the work. You can use it to help you find the meaning behind this. You know, being the empathic, intuitive people that we should all be, you know, striving to be, you know, because we get messages that way. It'll be channeled to us one way or another. All right. With that being said, stay prayerful. If you're having these nightmares, continue to do the work. Focus on what you are thinking about before these dreams. And sidebar, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like if I eat right before I go to bed, it can make me susceptible too. So I don't know what I have to, and I meant to look that up, and I don't know if I want to do that right now while I'm recording. I meant to look up eating right before bed and the connection to having nightmares, but sometimes I've noticed that sometimes, depending on, you know, eating. And also, I remember reading something through this while I was taking my notes that was saying exercising during the day, well, could help you avoid these nightmares as well. Not right before you go to bed, which could wire you to stay up, but during the day. All right, you guys. All right. I hope that this information, you know, has helped someone, and to know that I'm a living witness that you can actually move past these nightmares, and I don't have them anymore. I don't, it's been years since I've had the nightmare about this narcissist at this point. So during the time when I was having those nightmares, it wasn't just some isolated things. I was having panic attacks and anxiety, and maybe I did have some forms of PTSD at the time. But I definitely had some trauma to work through, some fears and anxiety. I had a lot of stress in my waking life. You know, all these things are just connected, you guys. But as I began to clear the energy, work on my healing, de-stress my life, and all of these types of things, work on my perceptions of this narcissist and not making them the boogeyman and disempowering them and all of these things, it really did help me, you guys. And I hope that it could help you as well. All right. This isn't a life sentence. I know that it feels scary, but just make sure you're keeping your perspective. It is a dream. You know, it's not real life. It is a dream. All right. And it's just letting you know that you have some things to face and work through. And you can totally do that, you guys. All right. So until the next video, continue to do the work. All right. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Until next time.